My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Nunas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
I'm Sky.
And today, we bring to you a sister episode, a few days late, but still here, to what we talked about last week, which was Anarchist From Colony, the film. No, we're not talking about the film again, but we are going to talk about its main actor, Lee Je Hoon. We like this man. He's very handsome. He's very talented. And he has quite a variety of varied works that he's done. So we're just going to talk about him today.
Everybody's like first Lee Je Hoon project.
Oh.
I know mine was Tomorrow with You because it was very, very new to Drama Land. And it came on it was in the Goblin time slot. So it came on like 2 weeks later in that slot. So we were already watching all the time. So we were like, oh, okay, I guess we'll watch this thing. And we loved it. So we kept on watching it.
I think mine was Fashion King.
Mm-hmm.
The show, not the movie. Those are two different things. But
I gathered.
Yeah, very, different things. But I didn't really he didn't really stand out for me too much in that one. It had UI in it, and come on. UI in. But I think it was probably Signal that really made me go, okay. Yeah, I watched it with my husband, and we both really enjoyed Signal. So
I just started Signal last week for this because it's been on my list forever, but it was stuff comes up, so I finally started it. It was really good. I'm only an episode and a half in, but it was sort of like, oh, this isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be about. There will be more to this story, clearly. So we'll see. I think it's very good, and I really enjoy it. I might put it back on hold for a bit. We'll see. I can download, so maybe I'll watch it at the trailer. I'll download episodes and watch it at the trailer.
Yeah, I watched it for this episode. I really loved it. It was great. But the first Lee Je Hoon, I think, is Where Stars Land. I feel like that is.
Oh, Where Stars
Land. Mine was Where Stars Land too, I think.
It might have been an actual a variety show, but not conscious of really who he was.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably actually where I first saw him, on Running Man or something, but in terms of actual projects, it's Where Stars Land.
And oh boy, Where Stars Land. We could do a whole episode.
Well, we have a spoiler
a whole episode about it.
If you're curious, our take is about the end of Where Stars Land.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a spoilers episode on that.
We had some thoughts.
Some very
marketed
thoughts. But as far as the show itself, we enjoyed it when it was airing. I remember that we enjoyed it when it was airing.
Yeah. And we enjoyed him in it.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Well, I think, so talking about that, since that was my first exposure to him in that role, and he's so subdued in that role, he doesn't smile as much, all those things. It's really nice to then see him in all these other roles and see how different he is. It's not like he's always the subdued character.
Yeah.
He's vast.
No, yeah, definitely. He goes from one extreme to the other. It's really variety in that way.
Tomorrow with You, the kissing was right away, episode 2 or something. They're making out, and you're like, okay, so he can kiss. I don't know much else about this actor, but clearly he's good with the kissing scenes. So if that's important to you, you should check that one out.
Also, he's already done his military service, so you don't have to be sad about him possibly leaving if you decide to become a new fan of him, because he already did it. He's done, which means he's just here forever now. So
he's been a while since he was supposed to have done it. So there's not even it wasn't even distant memory.
Yeah,
he's my age. He's
Yeah. He doesn't he looks pretty young though. I will give him that. But I recently, since I was living in my coworker's basement for 3 months, which is over now, I am home.
Yay.
Hallelujah. I did get her husband to watch his newest movie, which was Time to Hunt. And that was a very, very different role for, because that was a movie. Oh boy. I don't want to it's really new, so I don't know
you keep just making faces. That doesn't.
I know, so it's I don't really know what to say about it that won't give it away, but he can do action.
It's very new,
too.
don't.
Yeah, it's very new. He's good at action. Let's just say that he can make it work.
I will say, as someone who only watched the first 10 minutes, it's not dystopian to the point where it feels like very, very, very sci-fi. It's dystopian to the point that it feels like kind of too realistic right now.
Yeah.
So I handle this right now, so maybe some other time. Definitely.
I did about 15, 20 minutes, and then I was like, okay, so I see where this is going. I'm going to just skip to the end and see how it turns out. Okay, yep, pretty much as I figured. All right, I'm good. That was pretty. I was like, it's good, but I can see where this is headed, and I am not in a place for that right now. So I'm just gonna read the last page of the book. And,
it's one of those where you start watching and you're like, oh no, this is gonna be about some bad decision making, huh? Yeah, that's exactly what it's about. Bad decisions are badly made and don't end well. Oh boy.
I did like that. Sky mentioned the dystopian future concept in it. That they don't really explain that at all. They're just like, this is how it is. And then they go. Kind of like when we watch Psychokinesis, the same thing. It's like, this is how it is, and go. Yeah. And I like that in a story. You don't need to explain it all to me. Okay, this is the world we live in. Go.
It's nice because it's nice to see movies where it's the world building isn't done through exposition. It's just presented through just small actions and small things that people do. So for example, when they get in the cars are more futuristic, but everything around them sucks balls, And so they don't explain this. They're just oh, okay. Sure, we've got supercomputers, but no one has any money, so it doesn't really matter.
And it also should be noted that this is actually his most recent work. So if you're looking for something that's most recent to what he his age and where he is and what he's doing right now, it's that, and also it's on Netflix, which
so it's easy to find.
So and originally it was going to be, it's pretty obvious it was going to be a theater blockbuster type film, but then it was in the midst of the beginning of the COVID stuff, so then things kind of changed, and then that's how it ended up on Netflix much sooner than typically. So there's that. Do we want to not really start from the beginning of his career, but what do we want to kind of start from the beginning as far as older stuff that we've watched?
Yeah, I think so, especially because he has been around for a while. That maybe some people should know some of those titles, even if they're not super accessible or known by everyone.
But before we do, as a fun little side note, he was also the voice of Jack Frost in the Korean dubbing of Guardians. So, Rise of the Guardians.
Who knew?
So there's that. That's pretty fun. He does have a very nice voice.
He does. He's got a really good speaking voice.
Yeah, it's very soothing.
He's very fluent in English, too. You see that in a lot of stuff, which is pretty cool.
So, the earliest thing I've when I was going through watching some of his works for this episode, the earliest thing I saw was 2009. But he did work way back, even in 2007, it looks like.
Yeah, he was a film student, too. So he was in a lot of short films in, school. So he started off in college as that.
Yes, including the Just Friends, which is the one that I watched.
That's what I was going to talk about, Just Friends.
Yeah.
He did well in it. He did well in his film.
It's not a very good film, but he does well in it.
Short film.
It's a short, you can sort of see it's student film trying to tackle social topics, but not very well, but it's okay. It has a bizarre musical number in the credits. It was weird. Like,
but
you
taking chances.
He played a gay role in it, and he played it very well, and it wasn't overdone. It just, it was what it was, and that was kind of the crux of the whole show. So, but he did a good job in it. That was the youngest I saw him when I was watching his stuff.
I think the next youngest that I saw him in was, he had like a tertiary role in the movie Finding Mr. Destiny.
I keep on wanting to watch that one. How is it?
It also has, it's cute. It's just, you know, it's a cute little rom-com.
Fine.
Like,
yeah.
It's okay. Like, but like, it has Gong Yu in it, so it's like, was anyone?
And I mean, the lead actress is Im Soo Jung. She's great. You know, like, it's a movie. It's not like super exciting. It's not super bad. It's not, you know, the acting is good.
So did he have a tiny role in it? Like, was he really not in it that much?
I didn't even remember he was in it at all.
Yeah, it's that sort of vibe, where you're like, oh, he was in it? Okay.
So that was back in 2010. And he did things in between. We're just going through what, like, we've been experiencing. I don't know the thing that... do we know the thing that made him, like, more noticeable to everybody?
Architecture 101.
Was it Architecture 101?
Mm-hmm.
So Architecture 101 was a movie. Oh, how was it? I watched bits of it.
I liked it a lot. MDL has a lower rating. Like, it's, like, kind of on the lower scale of the, like, him as a main role films, which I don't understand, but I really liked it. I enjoyed it. It was really good. Sushi did a good job in it, too. It's a nice little 2-hour movie.
It's cute. It's like, it's nice. It's a nice film.
When I was watching, I think Running Man, no, it was Happy Together, because they were talking more. Happy Together, and they were talking about Architecture 101, and he was like, yeah, I didn't really know that it was going to be, like, people ended up liking it a lot. He thought that some people might end up enjoying it, maybe people that have experienced that, you know, kind of bittersweet first love thing and whatever. Mm-hmm. He expected that, people that could, like, heavily identify with that, but the fact that it was more popular, and I think at the time in their, like, pop culture, it became a little bit more of a thing, and so he was pretty surprised by that. He wasn't expecting that to be as popular, because it was and they talked all about the director, because the director, it was his second film, and he was an architecture person, so that's why it was such a big deal. And then somebody else on Happy Together at the time was in the first film of that director, so they talked all about that, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's cute. It does time jumps in it, because it starts off with his character in his 30s or mid 30s or whatever, and the main female lead, and then it goes back in time to their relationship in their first year of college, and that's when Lee Je Hoon, because he played, and Susie played the younger versions of the two main leads. Yeah, I really liked it. It was also, like, really big because of Suji too. Like, that's like when she first started getting really popular, and it's like kind of what snowballed her career, and like especially in acting wise, because everybody started to like really like her character, because she does have a pretty likable character in the movie itself, because she's kind of like the girl next door type.
And it looks like that same year was when Fashion King was a thing, 2012. So how was Fashion King? You didn't really say, Natalia.
I watched the first episode, and that's as much as I needed to.
And how does it differ from the movie? Like, you were saying it's vastly different.
It's completely different. I don't think it's the same story at all. Like, it's just the same name.
Yeah.
Because I was tweeting about, like, for anybody who listens to us who also listens to K-Bay, they did an episode on the movie, and they sold it hard. It sounds like it's hilarious. And so I was tweeting that I wanted to, like, watch it, and people were like, no, don't watch Fashion King. Are you crazy? And I was like, I think it might be a different Fashion King.
Yeah. No, the movie is really funny. The show is
not.
It exists.
I mean, like, the show is exactly what you would expect for that year of a K-drama. Like, you watch it and you're like, this is what it is. You know, kind of how, like, I don't want to say soap opera because I think that, like, puts a weird, like, everybody wants to make K-dramas soap opera when they're not. But, like, it has that kind of more, like, Boys Over Flower type, like, you know.
Boys Over Flower, Secret Garden.
Yeah, where it's, like, mellow, but it's not actually mellow because it's, like, not, it's over the top. And mellow is more of over the top, but in a real bubble. That makes sense. So it was definitely, like, a product of its time. So it probably wouldn't be a show that I would watch, even if I had watched it at that time. But I don't know that a lot of people would have, like, hated it if they were watching it, like,
as
it wasn't very popular. It did not do very well at the time.
Most of the complaints I see are about the way it ended, more than the drama itself, that they were dissatisfied, we shall say, with the ending. But having not watched it, I don't know. Maybe the ending was exactly what it was meant to be. I don't know. But I know that that's the most common complaint I see about it, is the ending. So
he was also in an ethics lesson. That's a movie. That was in 2013. I did not watch that. And The Fortune Tellers was in 2012. That looked kind of crazy. Natalia, did you mention that you saw that one?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Okay.
Myself.
Okay. I think it was Phantom Detective that you mentioned. So in 2013, he also did My Paparazzi,
which I watched.
Oh, I really enjoyed it, like, a lot.
Yeah.
How did you like it?
I liked it a lot. It's based on a true story too. If, like, going into that might be a thing. If you like Mr. Holland's Opus, you're gonna like My Paparazzi, because it's Lee Je Hoon's character is like an
orphan gang kid.
Yeah, who has a love of classical music and opera, and he wants to be an opera singer, but through his, like, connections and how he has to survive, he's kind of gone this one way, and it's about him and the music teacher at his school kind of developing a relationship, and, you know, one of those type stories.
A mentor-mentee kind of tearjerker at the end type thing. And it was definitely the teacher ended up very much willing to fight for the kid to have a better future and want to follow his dream.
Like, they both grew in the movie. Both the teacher and him kind of both went on a journey together through their, like, relationships together and how they're kind of put together. I enjoyed it.
I really, really liked it. I was surprised. And do you think he was really singing?
No, he's not singing. Okay.
Because I was like, if that's him.
He's there are videos of him singing, and there's also that Happy Together one with the 8 Pink Girls in it. I don't remember what the actual, like, topic was. Maybe, like, up and comers or something. He sings a little bit, and I think he's on, like, an OST on one of his dramas. But yeah, it's definitely not him, because it's like this person is, like, a super trained opera singer.
Right.
Like, and that's like the thing. It's like he's the best in the entire school in the area, but because he's, like, you know, got this kind of sad backstory that, like, is forcing him not to become his potential. Oh, I didn't read much into the real story, though.
Yeah, I didn't. I kind of forgot that it was based on a real story. So, because we're going to talk about how he handles languages and stuff. His accent, his dialect that he chose to use in this role, though, was really, really good, because it was that kind of more like Busan, you know, that the gangster, the way those gangsters speak, and they kind of have a very different dialect. He sold that dialect so well in that movie. Like, I thought they did a really good job. As far as for someone who doesn't speak Korean, it sounded good to me.
Yeah, no, I thought he did really good in the role too. Like, it just worked really well.
It wasn't cartoony, despite it could have been, depending on who handled it, probably, but he wasn't.
And I really like the kind of the tension between him and the guy who plays the actor, or the music teacher. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, it's not like they were buddy right off. They quite some time.
Han Suk-kyu.
Yeah, he's very well known too. He's in, like, everything.
Yeah, he was the guy who was in. He's the main police detective in Watcher. It's the most recent I've seen him in.
So I didn't watch this, but the drama Secret Door, which was in 2014 with Lee Je Hoon, also had him as the main king, and Lee Je Hoon was the crown prince. So like they also had that historical based on like an actual prince stuff.
Yeah.
So
and I don't think we mentioned this, but it's on Amazon Prime. That's why I watched it.
Oh, the Paparazzi or the
My Paparazzi.
Cool.
I don't know if there's any region, restrictions, but it definitely was on Amazon Prime because I decided to search him in Amazon Prime because I have it now technically. So I was like, oh, let's use it finally.
Let's see what we find. See what comes up.
I forgot where I found it. I might have found that one on the high seas, but then later I watched other things on Amazon Prime. So I should have been more diligent in my legal searches.
I had a feeling that there might be more movies because I feel like Amazon Prime has a ton of movies that are Asian. That in comparison to Netflix, I feel like Netflix tends to grab the thrillers and the horror in the Asian market and then kind of not really pick up a lot of the more variety. So I saw it and I was like, oh, this is easy. Click.
Well, I definitely used Amazon for the Phantom Detective.
I did too. Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed Phantom Detective.
Oh, I loved it.
It's fun. It's like a weird, fun movie.
I didn't think it was even that weird. I just loved it.
It's weird in that it's the cinematic choices I was expecting. But I didn't watch the trailer for it, so what was I expecting? But it's got that 1920s detective mobsters story, but comic book. It's purposely done the cinematography is purposely done as a comic book.
It almost felt like, did anyone ever watch the Dick Tracy movie?
Yes.
Yes.
It's like that, but without the fake makeup, with all
the the way that they're dressed and the way Gora's character, she has the fur on, and everybody's hats and the glasses that are thick black rimmed glasses that the whole entire lens will shine, at certain points so you can't see the people's eyes. Yeah. The aesthetic of it was really cool, and I think they did a lot of great things with the setting and some of the places they were in. I think they did a really good job on that. And it was also fun.
Even a movie that if it wasn't quite so violent, I would say kids could watch it. But you should only be 13 if you're watching this.
Which is crazy because, he spends all the time in the movie with 2 kids.
Right. So you would wish that maybe the age of the older kid, maybe that age could watch it. No, they probably should not be watching the movie.
I tried so hard to look for behind the scenes because I thought it would be super adorable of Lee Je Hoon with all those kids behind the scenes because they're with each other for most of the movie. There's got to be some. I could not find anything. I'm so mad. So I need someone to tell me where these behind the scenes clips are. It's probably the most adorable.
Doesn't it feel like it's kind of harder to find behind the scenes for movies rather than dramas?
TV shows. For dramas, they sort of use it as a marketing.
Yeah, especially
thing.
now.
Yeah, but less so for movies.
So 2016 was Phantom Detective, and that was also Signal.
Yes, because
I think Signal came first, especially when he was on Punky
as well. So it was after Secret Door, he went and did his military service, and then came back with Signal and Phantom. My Canadian just jumped. My Canadian just jumped out at me there.
So
Phantom Detective.
Signal was a big deal.
Oh,
yeah, I
Signal
think
was
in terms of really solidifying him as an actor, Signal was the role. Architecture 101 definitely is the one that made people notice and got everybody talking about him, but Signal is definitely the role that solidified him as
and
a person of interest.
He's
so good.
It's
And I mean I binged that because I had done this thing where I like watched the first episode like a while ago, and I like put off like 5 other dramas to like randomly pick it up, and I was like, no, Jesse, you can't do this, and so I like shelved it for a while, and then I was like, Paul, perfect timing, we're doing this episode, and I just binged through it all. It's so good. It's probably one of my like top like kind of crime thriller.
Yeah, it's so well done, and like it's not one where you're like, oh, I know how this is gonna end. Like, no, you don't know where you don't know. You never know, because everything just keeps changing.
Well, and pop culture wise, like I think everyone across the board in Korea really, really enjoyed Signal. So even so, he was on Signal, and then in order to promote The Phantom Detective, he went on to Running Man with 2 of the other Phantom Detective, an actor and an actress. And then the Running Man cast was like, hey, can you like use the walkie-talkie for us? He didn't really try to get into character too much. He just kind of used it a little bit, and they were just all losing their mind.
Yeah, no, like just like him picking up the like walkie-talkie, everybody like loses it. I remember when we was watching Where Stars Land, and he has a walkie-talkie in that too because he works at the airport, and everybody was losing their minds, and he was like picking up a walkie-talkie.
I think that's always going to probably follow him. Like, even 20 years from now, it's like, if he picks up a walkie-talkie, it's a big deal.
I think my favorite part of the show is that it's got a sci-fi element to it because of this walkie-talkie, because it's his connection to the past. But it's just done in a way that it's not hyped up. It's just like, that's just the world we're living in where this is happening. And so it's like, it's kind of weird in terms of like, he doesn't tell anybody because he knows that people will find him weird, but like, it's not so super sci-fi.
Also, and I'm only like an episode and a half in, but I will say he already has a large toolkit of skills, like observational skills and all that, to where it's not like he's just an average Joe with this walkie-talkie. So like, I didn't know that going in, that he also was gonna, his character was going to have all these abilities too that were important.
Yeah, his character's actually a lieutenant, so he outranks almost everybody in his little cold case department, except for, I believe, the main female lead's character. But I don't remember. He might actually outrank her. But he's got a background.
Kim Hae-soo.
She's awesome too.
Yeah, she's so good in it. So good.
And they actually reunited very briefly on one of the greatest films ever made, which was Infinite Company, the movie.
Starring everyone.
From starring literally everyone on the face of the earth. We'll get to that. We're not there yet. I just, but we'll get there. No, Signal's incredible.
They worked really well together. It was a really great dynamic of the 2 characters and just them acting together. Signal's good. Signal's really good.
Yeah. I do intend on finishing it. It's just there was only so much time before we recorded this. And I did decide, I was like, I want to go watch some movies so I could have a variety of what. So then 2017 was Anarchist from Colony. If you haven't watched it, it's worth watching. We did an episode on it last time.
They also did the movie I Can Speak that year.
Well, that's the same year?
Yep.
Wow.
And Fake. He had 3 movies Fake was just a guest role, but he did 3 movies and a drama that year. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I Can Speak is really good.
It is very good.
Tonally, it's even kind of hard to explain because it's cute, but it's also like touching sometimes.
I would say the one thing that I would recommend to every single person is to not read anything about I Can Speak and just go watch the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there is something that should have been like a spoiler, so it's more impactful, that is used in every promotional thing for the movie. And if you haven't watched any of that yet, then don't, and just go into the movie blindly.
because the way they did craft the movie, it is like there's a twist, but the way they do it's very well done. I mean, it's worth keeping that knowledge from yourself, and I'm glad that I did. Like it really it made a difference with experiencing the movie.
Yeah, I know he won Best Actor that year for that movie, and then so did the actress who I don't know anybody's name, but she was the nice grandma in Just Between Lovers.
Na Moon Hee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was really good.
He won the grand prize. No, wait, he won the special award at the Amnesty International Awards, and then he won the popularity award at the Golden Cinema Film Festival. Also, for Anarchist from Colony and I Can Speak, he won Best Actor at the First Resistance Film Festival in Korea, which possibly has the greatest name for a film festival that I have ever seen in my entire life.
I would even think, like, again, teenagers could watch it, and it would be really impactful, and it would be appropriate for that, too. Like, I think it would even be fitting. It's really, really good. And since it's based on a true story and all those things.
Yeah.
Definitely. And even at the end, they, like, show pictures of the real people, I think.
I always like that
they did.
They do that.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
I was wondering if I was remembering Anarchist Colony, since they did that in Anarchist of Colony, too. So, yeah, that year, he was really busy doing, like, historical things in his movies.
Yeah.
And then Tomorrow with You, where he traveled to the future in his dramas.
Oh, Tomorrow with You. What a surprise that drama was.
So, I took this opportunity to finally watch Tomorrow with You.
I did too.
And it was really good.
It. Yeah,
I really like that.
Yeah.
I really.
It's like cute, but touching, but sexy, but.
I just didn't realize he had such an affinity for like time travel type shows.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I was like, wait a minute.
It's like why fight what works, you know?
Right. But like, also, since I was keeping up with King Eternal Monarch at the same time, I'm like, dude, there is a lot of time travel going on in my life right now.
I will say it was very hard watching everything because I'd be like, where's that character? I'm like, Jesse, you're watching Signal, and that character's in I Can Speak, so it's not here clearly.
Yeah.
And it's not even like to knock on Lee Je Hoon because he is a different character in every single role that he does. He does not play the same character, and his acting ability showcases that. It was just like a lot of Lee Je Hoon in a very short time. And his face doesn't change because he always stays the same age facially. I think that's like the biggest thing.
Also, similar hair usually. I mean,
yeah,
it's just clothing.
Like,
that's the only thing that changes.
It's like, why mess with handsome? I think is what the stylists are saying. Like, if it works, it works. Why mess with it?
Tomorrow with You, his character, I like how cagey his character is without being, again, never turned into a cartoon. Felt realistic given the, what he was doing. It was all really good.
Yeah.
I
was very disappointed. My biggest thing with that is that they went from Goblin with its like 30 plus rating, share, and then they went to Tomorrow with You had like 2% or something, and it was like, okay, you guys seriously messed up something because A, it's a good show, and B, you should be able to hold on to something of like you did a bad job as a network with your advertising if you can't maintain some of that viewership from I think because also they skipped a week in between or something, so you but people were in the habit. They were sitting down on Friday night or whatever to watch, so
you would think the same audience that would enjoy Goblin would enjoy Tomorrow with You.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
No, because like Goblin's a little bit more fantastical and Tomorrow with You is more realistic. So if you took younger audiences who are watching Goblin, I don't think they would translate to Tomorrow with You. Tomorrow with You is a little bit like an older relationship. So then,
true.
Like that sort of.
There was more relationship drama to it as far as feels and all
like people didn't even seem to try it. Like they just shut it down before her character in that first episode or two is a little like intense, like she's a little over the top, and a lot of people just shut it down right there. They went, this is gonna be garbage, and they walked away. And those of us still watching it were like, but no, come back, it's good. Stay over here.
It was really good. I shouldn't have put off so long, because as somebody who likes sci-fi elements and stuff.
Yeah. No, it's a quality show. Like, it really didn't get the ratings that it probably deserved, but like, you can't really judge a show by how many ratings it gets, especially since, like, for example, we're not Korean, so maybe there's something about it that we really like that the average Korean audience wasn't connecting to. So,
or just like there could have been another show that was happening at that same time, thought that was bigger. You know, I don't know what was going on, and I was barely watching new dramas at that point. I was still, Goblin I watched live, but that was like it for in that area. I was mostly watching just stuff that already had the full season out and could go through it.
I do remember that when I was watching it, this was one that I watched with my sister, so like I'd go over on Saturday nights or something and watch, and I remember that I think it was on Drama Fever, and I'm not sure if they like were coming out like a day late or something. So like we would watch on Saturday night, but like Saturday's episode wouldn't be out yet. Like it was a Friday, Saturday or something. So we saved one from this weekend, and so we were never watching it like the proper, we would watch like last Saturdays and this Fridays, and then so we didn't have that like bad cliffhanger thing either. So I wonder if that like kind of affected my enjoyment of it, because in some ways it was kind of more like what you get from a binge, where you don't have to sit there going, oh, what's going to happen? You just watch the next episode. So like we were doing that because we were holding off on an episode every week. So that might have helped.
I definitely enjoyed it being a binge. And when I say binge, like life would interrupt me a fair bit to where I wasn't able to like watch it all at once necessarily. But having it all there, I was able to escape like the major cliffhangers much easier and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But I recommend it for people who do like sci-fi elements and romantic elements.
Yeah.
Yep. And for those of you who love the kissing, oh boy.
And if you don't like comedy, it's a good, kind of pretty straight. It's got a little bit of comedy, but it's not a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
It has funny moments in the way that life has funny moments and, funny conversations, but it's not like over the top slapsticky stuff.
In 2018 was Where Stars Land. We've already talked about that.
Yes. Oh, Where Stars Land.
But as far as the setting, it was all airport.
Such potential.
Well, we're not going to talk about that part. It was a good show. I mean,
it was a good show.
I enjoyed the show. Same. It was like fantasy airport show it was just shiny airport. There wasn't a ton of fantasy.
The nicest airport you've ever experienced. Actually, in an amusing turn of events, they were actually named the ambassadors for the honorary ambassadors of the Incheon International Airport. Like, of course.
They were doing it justice. There was not like a bad light on any of the like.
No, they made the airport employees and the airport itself seem like the most competent, best place ever. I'll give them that.
It made you want to work there, that's for sure. Like, sure.
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty good job, like for the most part. And
it doesn't give anything away that like his character kind of had like super strength just based on some things, but it wasn't really supernatural, but it kind of was. Like,
yeah. It was more sci-fi than supernatural.
Sci-fi superhero in a real setting.
Now, if you like want to know more about our thoughts on
the end, the end,
on how it didn't live up to its potential fully, but was still a good watch, we get into it. But It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
His character was really understated and stuff. I enjoyed his character a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He did a good job with it. But I haven't seen him not handle a role, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Like all the things that I watched of him have been fine on his end in terms of acting wise.
Mm-hmm.
He's been able to carry his role and carry his character in completely different ways and be mindful of that too. Because his character in Where Stars Land is not his character in, I Can Speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it looks like he had a guest role in episode 16 of Hot Stove League. Amanda,
Yeah.
did you see him? How
I
was his
did.
guest
He was
role?
fantastic in it. It was a really like a pivotal role. It was an important role to the drama. So, and he was great in it. Like again, the character was different. It was not. It was a short. I mean, it was just that one episode, but it was an important role. It was. I mean, basically that movie, like, it's an office drama about sports. So I really enjoyed it. But and it won a whole bunch of awards this year for, best show of the year or whatever for 2019. So it was good. He was great in it. His character was important, but like his character was a CEO of like a tech company, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just a normal guy, but like he's still a very different character than what you're used to seeing him in everything else. Like he's always a different character, even if every single character is just Joe
A dude.
Smith.
Yeah.
Like he's a different Joe Smith in every single drama, and he was in this too. And it was nice because he was kind of, there was some stuff where they were kind of trying to sell him on things, and you kind of think like, oh, okay, like the main character, Nam Good-min's character, was really good at that, like selling people on stuff. And so you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna work. But then his character was cagey too, and was like, okay, I see exactly the steps that you're taking me down this little path, and here's the questions I have for you. Dun 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 dun, dun. Like it was a really nice sort of cat and mouse back and forth, but like business kind of thing. So, and you really weren't sure. I was like, I love you, but I want to keep loving you. Don't make me hate you right now. Like it was, yeah. So he was good in it. It was enjoyable. I remember it being a big deal. People were excited that he was going to be in the final episode. So, and he did not disappoint.
So that actually brings us up to date. Other than things that he, as far as my drama list says he is going to be in.
Yes.
For a drama, looks like he's in 2020, supposedly December, which means who knows when.
Yeah.
More than likely. Move to Heaven.
Drama. A Netflix drama.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They announced that like the end of last year. So I don't know when that's supposed to be. But it's definitely going to be on Netflix.
Yeah.
And then for films, Tomb Robbery is sometime going to happen. And
it's because of COVID, like we don't really know when anything's going to happen anymore. So it's like, it'll probably happen. When? Who knows?
If we want to, we can take a detour. Because didn't you earlier mention something about a variety show moment that you wanted to talk more about?
Oh, yeah.
Natalia.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
Infinite Company.
Yeah.
I feel like it was okay. So I watched Infinite Company. Okay, so Infinite Company there was like this long running gag surrounding G-Dragon on the show Infinite Challenge, where they would have G-Dragon come on the show and be an intern for Infinite Company, and it was like a skit, right? Where they would make him work at an office. But then, so they invited him back for, I think, like the third one, but didn't tell him that it wasn't a skit. They were actually making a full-length feature film. And they did. And it had everyone in it. And Lee Je Hoon was in it playing a cop. Basically his character from Signal.
But shadier.
But much shadier. And I think that I know that this part doesn't actually concern Lee Je Hoon, but it was still the funniest thing that I've seen on Infinite Challenge. Infinite Challenge had lots of funny moments. Was they then have, after conning G-Dragon into starring in this movie, they invite him to the premiere of the film and don't tell him that he's the only person they invited. So they set up a huge fake premiere that only G-Dragon was invited to. He's like, you did this to me again. So the movie is actually like a pretty good like office crime film. Weirdly enough, like they took it very seriously and made like an actual serious film.
Well, and wasn't it also a take on Miss Aang?
Yes. Because we talked about
like,
it a little in our Miss Aang episode.
Yeah, but like with murder.
Right.
Yeah. Well, of course.
And then they even pulled in like the old Japanese man from The Wailing was in it. Like, it's a wild movie. I think it's on demand Korea.
Yeah.
And it's worth the watch.
I spent a long time trying to find it once upon a time.
Oh,
it's
boy.
on demand Korea. It's under a lot of different names is the problem. Like, that's part of the difficulty.
Yeah. And see, Infinite Challenge used to be on Drama Fever. R.I.P. Every time you think you're over the loss.
Every time I turn on Running Man, I'm like, Drama Fever.
Yeah. Why have you done this to me? But no, he was a delightful delight in it, as always, playing a completely different character. No, it's actually like a good movie.
I really had fun watching him in Happy Together.
Yeah. He was great in Happy Together.
His newest Happy Together, rather. Because there was one when he was, like, way young. But it was funny because he would talk about, like, how he's actually really not that funny in real life and stuff. But when he was coming out Happy Together, he's like, I'm going to try to be funny. So he, like, made all this effort to, like, make it. And he did a really good job. And they're like, you actually have potential to, like, be good at variety. And he's like, yeah. Like, you could tell he was really proud of himself. Saying he is just really adorable. Like, he'll do it to be funny, but, like, he'll cover his face all cute. Like, he would have really, really cute reactions the entire time. But
he's done that all his life. I've, like, seen, like, 2011 interviews, and he's the exact same way. He's just adorable.
He doesn't really have a lot of hobbies, because on Happy Together, he'd be like, well, my one hobby that I'm proud of is collecting films. Like, I collect DVDs and watch them. And they're like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, how many do you have? So how many do you think, like, in order to say that's your hobby and say that that's a big part of what you do, like, what would you guess would be?
I would say at least 100. At least 100.
Yeah.
So, and they're also like, how long have you been doing it? He's like, oh, like 5 years. Like, he's been after this 60 movies.
He's very selective, okay?
I mean,
He's
I
still
watched
working on his collection.
that.
Because they were like,
Like-
dude, you can't call that a collection. Like, you can't. He's like, oh, okay.
I think though it's interesting because when you see him talking about when he was a kid, like the big thing that sticks out in his mind is the like convenience store across the street where he used to rent VHS, and he talks about, like, I was watching that one Esquire interview, and he's like talking about this VHS and the VHS tapes and VHS cassettes that I would rent them and I would watch them, and my dad bought me a TV, one of those TVs with a VHS player right in it, and so I had that, and I just watched movies all the time. And if my dad hadn't bought me that TV, I would not be here today, because they were like, what would you be doing if you weren't a movie? He's like, this is it. This was always what he wanted to do. He used to rent those movies and watch them and think, I want to be in a movie. Like, he was single-minded about those VHS tapes, and he was adorable in that interview. I was like, I already knew I adored you, but you're so cute. And, like,
He was very briefly a biotech student. at Korea University, and then was like, nah.
We all do that. Everybody in the arts does it, where like you have that brief moment of like, maybe I should just major in a real study and then just do my passion else. And then you're like,
no.
You're like,
no.
Also, there was a little interview that he did, and then they ended up talking about it on Happy Together, how he hadn't dated somebody for like 6 years or something.
Yeah.
And so they gave him a really hard time about, like, what type of girl do you like? He's like, I'm not even used to like dating. So then they even did a fake date, like group date thing. It was so funny. And of course the female guests are all like head over heels for him.
Oh yeah, like totally. He's adorable, and you're like, no, this is a great guy. And you're like, how does he not get a girl? Come on.
He's busy.
He's like, he just, in that interview, the one interview I was watching, and they were like, so apparently you got something that you're really proud of. He's like, yes, like I have a CD player that hangs on the wall, and it is in my bathroom, and it's very romantic. I can listen to music while I'm taking a shower, and you're just like, oh, baby.
That's the sweetest.
But the way he says it is like a boy in high school trying to get a girl to come over, like it just, you're like,
I've got a CD player in my bathroom, pure deluxe.
He's so cute, and he's like, you're like, so if you weren't making movies, what would you want to do in the future? And he's like I think I'd like to have a corner store where I rented VHS and and sold cassette tapes. Like he wants to have a high fidelity store on a corner where you can just hang out and watch movies and sell CDs to people if they feel like it. I'm like, he's just so normal, average dude.
He was also
that fame has not gone to his head, so
no.
He was also a regular cast member on Traveler.
Yeah, it was him and Roo Jun-yeol. It was the beginning of last year. So if you're looking for an actual variety show that's just like him and the other guy for the episodes, that's it.
It was in Cuba for 2 weeks is what it was all about. So I did not have time to watch it. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I did.
I've seen clips, but not that I looked back into.
It's always been on my list, but I've never had time to get around to it.
I like everything. Like that he does the variety and stuff, but that he does movies and he does dramas. Like it seems like a lot of actors who maybe do a lot of movies don't ever cross over to Dramaland or vice versa. Like you seem to hang out in one or the other, but he seems to very evenly move back and forth between them and keeps on. Like he keeps coming back to Dramaland even though he's making lots of movies. And I like that. Like he's clearly going based on what interests him, not just what has the most money or what has the most fame or whatever. He's just picking stuff that he thinks is interesting and going for it. And I like that.
He's definitely had good luck with his projects the past few years. Like, they all seem very successful, so.
Yeah.
I think he's a bankable actor these days, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, like, he got onto Stove League, and he has no connection to the writer nor director of Stove League. He was just a fan of the show, and they asked him on.
Yeah.
So that, like, means something. But I think he's, like, very much, like, people really do enjoy him, and so, like, he has the group of people who are only watching films that really enjoy him, and then the people that are watching dramas are finding very enjoyable dramas from him. So he's got a solid fan base, for sure.
And it seems like he's a really nice guy, too, like...
Yeah.
Because the actor that was on Happy Together with him, like, they seemed like really good friends, though you wouldn't have really necessarily put them together, because it's the guy from Phantom Detective, like the bad guy in Phantom Detective.
Mm-hmm.
And he always plays villains and stuff. And he married, so, like, he really doesn't have a lot of free time because of his work, but then he really doesn't have a lot of hobbies. And so he hit it off with Lee Je Hoon because he doesn't have a lot of hobbies either. Like, they pretty much asked each other one time, like, oh, what do you do when you're not working? And they both really couldn't answer that question. And so then they became friends, and then they go out to drink and stuff together because, like, they're both kind of boring people. I thought that was really cute.
That's just like, how else are you gonna make friends as an adult? Really? You either make it through having hobbies or being the shared hobby of not having a hobby.
Especially like being an actor that like, you know, he's gonna get stopped when he's out. So, you know, that's also a added stressor to making relationships work.
Yeah. So we recommend him. If you see that he's in something, check it out.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of interviews that you can look at. Not all of it is subbed, but Tomorrow With You did a lot of push for behind the scenes content, more than most dramas, even today's. So like you can find a ton of behind the scenes of him with again, forgetting people's names, you know, the female lead. They're like funny. He's a funny guy, like, and he's like really seems like enjoyable as a human being. So like it makes the, you know, work atmosphere seem a little bit better too.
Shin Min-ah.
Shin Min-ah.
I was gonna say, I think it's Min-ah, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Woob's boy or girlfriend.
Woob's girlfriend, that's right.
But I don't want to just say that. Like, that's a bad thing. Like, she's her own person, and I'm sorry that I'm terrible at names. Like, I'll forget Lee Je Hoon's name here if I'm not, like, focused on him, too.
And it's also just that they kind of reside in the same place in our brains. It's like, oh, yeah, Woobs and her, like, really, reside in the same spot.
Your guys' names and Lee Je Hoon, that's what I have, like, now for name storage in my brain, okay?
And next week, Lee Je Hoon, he might not even be there anymore.
No, he won't. I know he won't.
No, I actually forgot. Actually, no, I didn't forget his name, but I spelled his name wrong and ended up with a different Lee Je Hoon. And I was like, no, that's not who we're talking about.
Actually,
no.
That because I typed it wrong into my drama list the other day, and I saw all the other with the J-I.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I bet this is a problem. And it made me wonder. I didn't go stare at the Korean spelling, which I should have. I wondered how similar it was even in Korean. You know, like.
Yeah, because it could be the same, because usually it's just up to the actor if they want to do it, which English version.
Right. So, yes, common name. He has a very common name, it seems, even amongst actors.
A very uncommon talent and attractiveness that pulls you in.
But yeah,
I like him. I think
he's adorable.
I think he's great.
He's a solid actor, and I highly recommend him just to watch him act. He's just so good.
So how about, before we close it out, we each pick, it can either be, if you want it to be your favorite, but as far as like, which of his projects would you recommend, like, the one project you would want someone to watch, if they haven't watched it yet?
Signal.
I'm going to go with I Can Speak. I think if you haven't seen that movie, you really should.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Tomorrow With You, just because it was my first, but also just really love it.
And I would probably go Phantom Detective, because I really, really enjoyed it. It's on Amazon Prime.
And all four of these suggestions are completely different characters.
Yes.
So different.
And different genres.
Signal's on Netflix. Tomorrow With You is on Netflix.
And I'm pretty sure they're still both on Viki as well.
Yeah. And I Can Speak is...
Viki?
Nope.
Where was it? Oh, was it just around?
It's gonna be hard.
It's around. It's, somewhere.
Yeah.
So, now, I will say this, like, there's a lot of movies and dramas that, as far as they're good and they're enjoyable, but it's not, like, culturally important to go check it out, or historically important to go check it out, especially if it's not easily available. But when you're talking about I Can Speak, like, I would say make
that it's not available.
I would say make that extra effort to go find it.
Netflix, Viki, everybody's got a page, a link that you can go to, and you can request titles. So do it. Get your friends to do it, and just do it and do it and do it until they cave and bring it on.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's worth it. That one is, I encourage
It's definitely worth it.
And I mean, I think we all recommend Anarchist From Colony. We did last week. We were recommending that, so we would all highly recommend that one also.
Yeah.
Luckily, that one's on Viki.
Yes. So, and it's also historically relevant as well. Before we sign off, we would like to send a little shout out, congratulations to our
bays,
co-minions, Shall we say it? We
Our
certified
sisters
them.
from another mister.
Yeah. We certified them quality this year. That would be the K-Bay. Just had their 100th episode. So that's really cool. Yay! So like, if you enjoy what we do, you'll probably enjoy what they do, and vice versa. And podcasts are free to listen to. So.
And they're currently talking about Kingdom season
Yes.
2. If you're into that
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
Which I love because I can't watch it because it's too much for me. So I love knowing what's going on and feeling like I'm a part of it without actually having to, watch the scary bits. So that works for me.
They're fun and they're chaotic and it's always a good time.
Yeah.
It's always a good time. Anyway, thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Certified Nunas. We hope you enjoyed it. If you found us, great. But if you want to listen to us in new places, we are on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Stitcher, and Podbean. And all of our episodes are also on our website, certifiednunas.com, and that's where all the links to everything we talk about can be found, as well as time codes and things. If you want to support this podcast, go to ko-fi.com/certifiednunas to become an official sponsor of the podcast and help us pay for our hosting and everything. And we love all of our sponsors, and they get some extra stuff here and there, and they get all the behind-the-scenes stuff that gets cut out of every episode, because we talk forever. So anyway, we hope that you have a great week, and we will see you next week with another super special episode. Bye!
Bye!